I shall officially say, good morning, beautiful people. I am Vicki Jeter, your practitioner spiritual director for Louisville Center for Spiritual Living Teaching Chapter. And today is an especially fun day to be with us for 3 reasons. Happy 4th of July weekend, happy birthday Sunday, and along with celebrating the birth of the United States of America, we invite you today to celebrate with us your birthday. It is Louisville Center for Spiritual Living Teaching Chapter's tradition as a community to celebrate everybody's birthday on just one Sunday, rather than trying it several times a year. So today we celebrate you throughout the service. And today we are so blessed to have practitioner Mitch Austin back with us. And he is going to be helping us launch Checking Out Speaking Truth to Circumstances, which is actually one of my very favorite subjects. It's going to be a powerful month. It's our theme for July. And so with all of that in mind, and just take a look around at the squares on the screen and really call up your celebratory soul as we take a moment to set our intention individually and together. Check in and see for yourself what brought you here today, and recognizing our shared intention for this service is looking into what it means to speak truth to circumstances spiritually and in human experience, all the while enjoying all kinds of special songs and readings and symbols for both celebrating 4th of July and Birthday Sunday. Now let us begin with our opening prayer. As is our way, we open prayer with thank you. If thank you is the only thing we said in this prayer, it would be enough. And yet we practice what we practice, not because it changes God, not because it makes it any more effective in spiritual terms, but because it keeps us tuned to remember to be grateful in all things, to remember that we are in co-creation with one source, one power, one presence that is all that is. And as it is all that is, it is all that we are. And so I realize in this moment, for every person here present, that there is a giving and receiving at the level that each of us is showing up, and that each of us is showing up collectively as we take a look into the courage and the mystery of what it means to speak truth to circumstances spiritually and in the human. And actually, I'm so grateful that our lovely special guest speaker, Mitch, is going to be the one to help make that discernment between the spiritual and the human in this case. And with that, we simply say, thank you, God. We release it into the law to let it be, and so it is.
You want to know?
Go ahead. I hope you enjoyed that as much as I did when I found it. welcome, welcome. Happy birthday. Merry Christmas, as the snowman would say. I welcome each and every one of you with my whole heart to Louisville Center for Spiritual Living Teaching Chapter. Whether you're with us this morning for the first time or watching on Zoom, thank you for your presence here today. We start each day greeting God, the angels, LCSL as an entity, and each and every one of you. Vernon and I set up and light the God candle, and Vernon did a whole lot more setting up this morning, as you all can see. And we're just inviting everyone who's seeking to find us. So whether you've been with us for 100 times or this is your first time, you are welcome here. And now for our opening song, The Stars and Stripes Forever, conceived and written by John Philip Sousa and performed by the Marine Corps Band.
In their unique style of marching, one of John Philip Sousa's best-known marches, The Stars and Stripes Forever.
And this launches us right into our mission and vision. The mission of Louisville Center for Spiritual Living is to teach personal transformation as a virtual community, living the principles of science of mind and celebrating all paths to God. And thusly, our vision is a world that honors and respects all people. Now I want to take a moment with our application of what we believe this morning, because you'll see it comes from Plotinus. For those of you who might not recognize that name, Plotinus was known as the father of the era called Neoplatonism, which goes all the way back to Plato. And the thing is, this was in the year 235 of the Common Era. So this is like the year 2023. We're talking about 2,000 years ago. And I point this out because it highlights the reality of the way conscious co-creation is universal throughout time and for all beings everywhere. Consciousness is an ever-awakening process. And so this week's application of what we believe is, I do not argue, I contemplate. And as I contemplate, I let fall the seeds of thought into the mirror of mind, which then become the mirror of matter. 2,000 years ago. And now for our reading and meditation, our practitioner of the week, Ms. Tammy Ellis.
Good morning, everyone. Happy 4th of July and happy celebration of birthdays and so much more. For the reading and meditation today, I was guided to read a beautiful mosaic of different American voices about freedom and celebration. The first one is by Ernest Holmes from the book Questions and Answers on the Science of Mind. We automatically claim our freedom when we are convinced that we can use no mind except the creative mind of God, and we seek to create no limitation for ourselves. And Reverend Dr. Michelle Medrano, in her reading in the monthly Science of Mind guide, is called From Bondage to Freedom. We are always free to choose, free in how we respond, free to be creative, free to transcend bondage. The first step to reclaiming this freedom is to affirm this to ourselves and imagine ourselves making choices that continue to free us, bless us, and for me, and bless all those involved. The act of freely choosing and doing all we can to respect others is the process of high calling, and is often more possible than I give myself and others credit for. It is the ultimate of soul satisfaction. Rosa Parks said, "You must never be fearful about what you are doing when it is right. Each person must live their life as a model for others. I would like to be remembered for a person who wanted to be free, so other people would also be free. I knew someone had to take the first step, and I made up my mind not to move, as you know, on the bus." And this is a quote from Sally Ride, who is the first female astronaut to go into space. "The stars don't look bigger, but they sure look brighter." And now as we move into the meditation, I encourage you just to take a nice deep breath in, feel that breath go from your lungs down into your belly. Just let yourself expand with each breath, deep and wide, as you, I hope, enjoy these next set of quotes from our other fellow American brothers and sisters. Don Jose Ruiz. The shaman knows that all life is connected. All life is one. We're connected through the air we breathe, through the ground underneath our feet, the water we share that makes up so much of our bodies, and everything else that constitutes this planet and beyond. Please take a nice, another expansive breath as you breathe that in. You change the world by being yourself. Yoko Ono. Take another nice, expansive breath. This song you will recognize was written by Irvin Berlin. God bless America, land that I love. Stand beside her and guide her through the night with the light from above. From the mountains to the prairies to the oceans white with foam, God bless America, my home, sweet home. And another expansive breath, just taking that in. You can't look back. You have to keep looking forward. Lucy Liu. Another deep breath in. I accept I am free every day. My choices uplift me and all others. Reverend Dr. Medrano. As you take another nice, deep, expansive, and wide breath, just taking those in and making any of those words your own as you so choose. And so it is.
And now we are to the time of what is called our special music. And this is actually a very special piece introducing the topic for Speaking Truth to Circumstances today in a very, very special way. And so, as you can see, it's Lions and Tigers and Bears from The Wizard of Oz.
Lions and tigers and bears.
Oh my!
Lions and tigers and bears.
Oh my!
Lions and tigers and bears.
Oh my!
Put 'em up. Put 'em up. Which one are you first? I'll fight you both together if you want. I'll fight you with one paw tied behind my back. I'll fight you standing on one foot. I'll fight you with my eyes closed. Oh, pulling an axe on me, eh? Sneaking up on me, eh? Why?
Here. Go away and let us alone.
Oh, scared, huh? Afraid, huh? How long can you stay fresh in that can? Come on, get up and fight, you shivering junkyard. Put your hands up, you lopsided bag of hay.
Now, that's getting personal, Lion.
Yes, get up and teach him a lesson.
Well, what's wrong with you teaching them?
Well, I hardly know him.
Well, I'll get you anyway, Pee-wee.
Shame on you!
What did you do that for? I didn't buy them.
No, but you tried to. It's bad enough picking on a straw man, but when you go around picking on poor little dogs.
Well, you didn't have to go and hit me, did you? Is my nose bleeding?
Well, of course not. My goodness, what a fuss you're making. Well, naturally, when you go around picking on things weaker than you are, why, you're nothing but a great big coward.
You're right. I am a coward.
And following from that, it is my great pleasure to reintroduce to you all Mitch Austin, who has been with us once before, and we absolutely loved it. Welcome back, Mitch. For the benefit of those who might not have been here for your introduction before, I will simply say that Mitch was raised living the science of mind teaching. He's actually an Emerson Theological Institute ministerial student and a licensed religious science practitioner through Center for Spiritual Living. And this has been the case for 10 years. He's currently serving at the Amani Center as on the Ministerial Council and at the center directing for the Amani spiritual community. He speaks regularly through Sacramento and Kansas City, and I don't know how many more times he might speak for us. Maybe we'll get listed on that list of places that he speaks. Also, he is most well known for Taming Your Inner Critic. It's a workshop that he does, and the Rise and Speak experience. And so with all of that in mind and what you see before you behind Mitch, I'll turn it over to you, Mitch. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Is it Reverend Vicky now? Is it Reverend Vicky?
Let's just say yes. I'll clarify that to you more a little later.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for having me. Happy almost 4th of July, CSL Louisville. So grateful to be with you this morning. You know, I have to say, I do various talks virtually, and most of the communities, when people are coming on, are very somber, or they've got their cameras off, and you people are like, hey, how you doing? How you been? I feel energized just sitting in your energy. And I just want to say what a beautiful, vibrant online community. And Vicki, I know a lot of this is your leadership. I love the fact that people have festive backgrounds or things on today. Vicki invited me this banner we got over here. There we go. Got to go the other way. To put something up, and this draws us all closer in consciousness. This is all intention and action, and I just feel so grateful to be here with you today. So speaking truth to circumstance. So there are some things that take us out of our truth in our minds, right? Our minds, sometimes we get lost in that maze that traps us from seeing the truth. You know, when we get stuck in the story, or we get hooked on appearances, or maybe it's our own inner critic. I know that last clip, I felt like every voice in there has been a voice in my head at one time. You know, I've had the voice of Dorothy, like judging me. I've had the cowardly lion. I've had the trying to make myself look like I'm more courageous than I actually feel. Anybody can relate to that? Maybe? Yeah. So I titled today's talk, Taming the Lions, Tigers, and Bears of the Mind, right? Because that's where our locus of control is. And we know in this teaching, all thought is creative and influential. All thought. So I'm told in my ministerial studies that it is the job of a minister to comfort the afflicted and to afflict the comfortable. So we might get a little affliction as we move through today. But I'm going to invite you to be kind with yourself. If I mention something, you go, oh, that's me. It's okay. That's good. It's just awareness. We're just on the journey. And the goal is just to be a little bit better than we were yesterday. That's it. That's it. No self-judgment, no shame, no blame here. So I love what Louise Hay has to say. Louise Hay is one of my sheroes. She was a religious science practitioner for many years. She also started at the age of, I think, 55. She started a publishing house called Hay House. Anybody know Hay House? That published Wayne Dyer and all of that. She started that at 55, and it became a worldwide publishing company. So know that you have a dream, it doesn't have an age. A dream doesn't have an age. So just, I don't know who that's for, but it's for somebody here today, I think. And here's what she says. She says, there's an incredible power and intelligence within you that is constantly responding to your thoughts and your words. As you learn to control your mind by conscious choice of thoughts, you align yourself with this power. I'm saying that again. As you learn to control your mind by conscious choice of thoughts, you align yourself with this power. She goes on to say, do not think that your mind is in control. You are in control of your mind. Use your mind. You can stop thinking old thoughts. That's the wisdom from Louise. And I would go on to say, I would add to her quote to say, use your mind or your mind will use you, right? That default programming will come in and start running things if you don't consciously choose. So there are three things we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk about that lion roaring in our head of the old story, the old hurt that comes up in present time and how that keeps us from speaking truth to circumstance. We're also going to talk about the tiger swipes of our minds, swiping our joy, swiping our peace because of how things look or appear. And we're going to talk about the lumbering bear of our inner critic. Who wants to find the mute button to their inner critic? Anybody? We could all use that, I think, right? And we all have one. You know, inner critic's actually a universal thing. Every culture knows about the inner critic, and they all have different names for it. I remember the first time I gave a talk on the inner critic back in 2016. It was my first talk in a big spiritual center, and I woke up in the morning, and I had a few things kind of laid out. My room was in a little bit of disarray, and in comes my inner critic. Really? You're going to help people improve their lives and you can't even clean your room? And I said, wow, I know what that is. And you're wrong. It has nothing to do with anything. So let's talk about those painful narratives that tend to come up. When we start ruminating about the past, a past hurt, a story that keeps coming up. Anybody have that friend that tells that same story over and over? Yeah, right, yeah, we know that person and we can see how stuck they are. It's just really hard to help them see how stuck they are because they keep telling that story. You know, Eckhart Tolle says that painful narratives serve no purpose. They keep reinforcing your thinking with a feeling. And he advises us to become aware of the thinking that's feeding that old feeling, right? Because it has no purpose except to keep us feeling bad. And when we link thinking and feeling, right, that's the powerful combination that manifests. So if you want a new or better future, you start by generating thoughts and feelings in the present to manifest that. But if you're looping back to old hurts, then you're creating in real time the same past coming in the future. Does that make sense? So, you know, everyone's met that person. I remember I was at a party once and this woman was talking about her divorce. And I was thinking it happened like in the past year. No, it happened 20 years ago. 20 years ago. And she's still talking about it like it happened this year. And I felt really, really bad for it, but I could tell that she was getting a secondary benefit. And this is what happens to us. And I know I've been guilty of this, is that I want to tell people, you know what happened? Can you believe? And I get attention, right? I get sympathy. I get relevance, right? There's what I call a secondary benefit sometimes coming up. And if you have a friend who's doing that, you might want to gently ask them, okay, well, what's good today? What are you looking forward to? Or what lesson or blessing did you get from that experience, right? Because that's all we can do is alchemize the events of our life. And when we can get the lesson or blessing, we can move forward, right? We can take that and leverage that for a better experience. But I know what it's like. I know what it's like to get hooked on a story. I remember I was in a city manager meeting once, and the assistant city manager got all mad at me and started accusing me of all these things. And instead of me like responding and defending myself, I just kind of shut down. And then on the whole ride home, I had the whole conversation over again in my head, as if I could actually change what happened. And then I woke up the next morning driving to work, still having the conversation. I went, what is going on? I'm so hooked by this situation. And what I realized is I went into deeper contemplation and I got curious. Why can't I let this go? What I realized is that the assistant city manager reminded me of my father. And so in that room, I was a 45-year-old man, technically, but I had reverted back to an 8-year-old child with no voice. And once I got what was really going on, I could let it go. I could let it go. Once I got the lesson, the understanding of what was going on, I could let it go. And you know, there are cultures that get how important it is for us to let go of these hurtful, painful stories. There's a tribe in Africa, they have this practice. When someone in the village is walking around, you know that person that's telling stories, so-and-so wronged me, this happened to me, and they're telling everybody, you know, like at work, you always get that person, right? Well, the village understands how toxic this is, so they have a ritual. When they find out somebody's been wronged, they call the whole village together and they go, tell us what happened. Tell us what happened. And so they tell the whole village, and the village goes, oh, and they empathize and they praise the person and they comfort them and they go, tell us again. So they tell the story again and they empathize and they support the person. And then at the end they go, tell us again. And then the person goes to tell it and the whole village turns their backs and walks away because it is done. It is a ritual of it is done, and you can now let it go. That there's no other ears for this story to fall on anymore. And I wish we had more rituals like that in our modern culture. Yes, it would help us, I think, a lot to move forward. So if you're finding yourself, because we're all human, we have lions, tigers, and bears of the mind, hooked on a story, I'm going to invite you to get curious and find the lesson or blessing so that you can take that nugget of wisdom and understanding and vibrate with that moving forward, right? Because if you're not present, right, you can't experience the gift of this moment. And staying stuck in the past robs us of that. Yes? Yes. So who's ever been hooked by an appearance? It just takes you right out of your peace, right? And it's easy to get hooked by appearances because we do live in a physical world, and it can be very convincing when we have financial challenges, health challenges, relationship challenges, or even just mental well-being challenges. But here's the thing we need to remind ourselves of, is that conditions are not a power. Say that right now. Conditions are not a power. Because there's only one power. God, spirit, the thing itself, source, whatever you want to call it. There's only one power and supply. You know, I do quite a bit of spiritual counseling. I've been doing that for about 10 years now. And every so often I'll get somebody who's really worried about losing their job or that their spouse is going to leave and they don't know how they're going to make their finances. And they're clinging on as if this is their source. And I remind them, What brought you the job? What brought you the spouse? Oh, there's something else working in concert with me, that my source is my supply, not the manifestation of it. I think in the Bible, that's when they talk about, idols, graven idols, that we start to look at other things outside of us, conditions, as source. And so that's our work, to work with that tiger of the mind, to remind ourselves of what our source is when an appearance is looking like our source, is looking like our supply. We've got to look beyond the condition, right? Look beyond the condition so that we're not manipulating conditions to fix conditions. That's a Band-Aid, right? We got to fix our thinking. Here's what Louise Hay says. I love how she puts it. She says, I don't fix problems. She goes, I fix my thinking about the problem, and the problem fixes itself. I fix my thinking about the problem, and the problem fixes itself. Isn't that beautiful? And here's something we can use. One of my favorite tools to fix my thinking, to stay on the high truth, to look beyond appearances, is denials. Who uses denials in their spiritual practices or their prayers? Anyone? Yes. I see that, Samantha, Vicky. Yes, it's one of my favorite things to use. We don't talk a lot about it in religious science of mind. You know who does talk a lot about it is Unity. Unity talks about it. I discovered it from Joseph Murphy's book, The Power of the Subconscious Mind, one of the classic books in metaphysics, I think. And in his book, he talks about a 7-step affirmative prayer. And one of the steps is denials. So what are denials? So denials, when we're talking about a spiritual denial, it's not the same as a psychological term, which means to refuse facing the reality. That's not what I'm talking about. Here's what Unity, I went to the Unity website, and here's what they say. Denial, it's a spiritual form of denial, meaning to release or renounce. It is to disidentify with and eliminating thoughts and beliefs that we have come to regard as false, limiting, or negative. True denial releases the energy expended in holding non-productive ideas. It releases the energy when we're hooked, right? I love to use denials when I get to the recognition step in affirmative prayer. Because what I notice is sometimes I'll go to affirm something and I don't really believe it. You ever start to affirm, like use an affirmation or start to affirm something, but there's a little voice back here going, really? Really? I had this experience when I had a health crisis about 1.5 years ago. And I had inflammation in my body. My leg muscles were twitching uncontrollably. I had brain fog. I couldn't walk but 20 feet and I was winded and the doctors couldn't tell me. Nobody could tell me what was wrong. And I was feeling pretty hooked by my situation. Was I going to have to go on disability? Was this going to be my new normal? So I started to work with my affirmations. I am happy, healthy, wealthy, and wise. It's like that 20 feet I could walk. But there's a little piece of me going, really? Look how tired you are. You can't even walk more than 20 feet. And so what I did, rather than trying to pretend that that thought wasn't there, I turned right to it with a denial. I said, even though my body feels tired, even though I'm only walking 20 feet, what I know is I am partnering with a power for good that has unlimited power to heal my situation, to work with me, to move me to higher ground. That this is not my permanent state, right? I'm just rebuking it. I'm going right to it. I'm giving it the business. I'm speaking truth to circumstance. And when I did that, when I took those thoughts out to the woodshed, I could stand in the affirmation with real conviction now, with real belief, with a match, a vibratory match. And I'm happy to say, Over a year later, I am better off now with my health than I was before I got sick. I lost 40 pounds. I went on a healing journey. I healed my fatty liver. I healed my high blood pressure. I healed my brain fog. Because I spoke truth to circumstance. I could have just accepted it. Nobody knows. But what's the source of my health? Not doctors, not pills. God, Spirit, always partnered with us in every situation. And we can use the power of our word, our thoughts, as Louise say, and fix the problem when we fix our thinking. So I'm going to invite you, if you're hooked by a circumstance, right? Look through that condition. Remember what your source is. And speak truth. Use the denial. Don't hide from your thoughts, because they'll be there. Don't pretend they're not there. Don't spiritual back. Turn right to them and speak truth to them and use these denials. And I invite you to incorporate them in your affirmations in your prayer practice. So the last bear of the mind here we're going to talk about is the inner critic, which is the voice of the ego. Right? That part of ourselves that believes we are what we have, what we do, what others think of us, that we're separate from one another, and that we're these bodies. And when you believe that, if that's the only belief you have, then you do have to protect and hold on and compete and worry about appearances and what people think. All those things. You have to try and manage everything. Just like the wizard, right? The wizard was putting up all of these appearances so nobody knew that he was just some guy behind a curtain. He had to have a big title, the wizard. He had to have a big appearance. The more airs that somebody puts on, little secret about the inner critic, the more insecure they are. Secure people don't do that. People who really know who they are, that authentic part of themselves, the ego doesn't, that voice doesn't have as much of a grip. They're more transparent. But the inner critic serves a purpose, right? When we grew up, we learned the rules of engagement with the world. We learned how to get our intention to translate. And those are good things. If I want to get a job, I can't show up in my ripped, torn jeans that I like to wear, right? My inner critic goes, if you want the job, you need to wear a suit. And that's the only lane your inner critic should be in. If it's in the lane of your dreams, it's out of bounds. It's going to tell you you can't do it. Who are you? You're not worthy. If it's in the lane of your worthiness for good in the world and for a happy life, it's out of bounds, right? Because it's going to use all kinds of fear tactics to get you to do what it thinks is right, which oftentimes is nothing. Keeps you stuck. Or it keeps you trapped on the hamster wheel of success. Only do this, only do this. Anyone ever been trapped on the hamster wheel of success? It's painful, isn't it? And tiring. And you never arrive. Look, even if it tells you to run up the ladder of success and you get a promotion, it says, good job. And then it says, now don't screw up. Get in early. Work harder. Like, it's never happy. Don't play with that voice in your head and think you're going to make it go away. It just gets louder. So what do we do with it? What do we do with it? We speak truth to it, right? When I woke up that morning and it said, who are you to help people improve their lives? I said, I am a piece of the divine, and I've been divinely appointed to get up and speak the word. No matter if there's some clothes laying around in my room, right? You can speak back to your inner critic. Speak truth to your inner critic. And if you can't because you're so caught up in the circumstances, phone a friend. Phone a trusted friend that can give you perspective. I always say, don't be alone in your head without adult supervision. That's what I say. And I try not to. Also, affirmations and meditation will help you get past that internal dialogue. So I want to invite everyone to take on the lions, tigers, and bears of your mind. To remember to stay out of the story and in the present. That's where the gift is. right? To remember that conditions aren't a power and that we can get curious, we can move through, we can see through, and we can use denials to reclaim our inherent power and work with that power for good that Ernest tells us about. And lastly, let's not let our inner critic be the loudest and only voice at the decision-making table of your life, because then your mind is running you. And as we've been taught here many times, we can think the thoughts, we can choose the thoughts that empower us, that move us to higher ground. And I want to leave you with a quote from Ernest Holmes. Ernest says, "The mind is a magnet, and we attract that which we identify the self. In order to get the most out of life, we must learn consciously to change many of our habitual thought patterns. This is not easy, for our old thought patterns cling to us with great tenacity. But being thought patterns, they can be reversed. If you are filled with fear, refill yourself with faith, for faith always overcomes fear. And I'll help you tame those lion, tigers, and bears of the mind." Let's take this message into prayer. As we take a collective breath in and just let it out, I remind myself that there is only one power, one source, one presence from which the fountain of all things have their origin. And I can turn to this fountain of source, of the divine, with my mind, with my vibration, and put in that which I seek to know the truth about as manifest in my experience, that I can partner with this power for good, no matter what life looks like, no matter what has come before, and no matter what my mind is judging me about. I can move past it all. And when I do, when I lean back into source, when I lean back into God, when I lean back into good, more good is made manifest in my experience. And I speak this truth knowing that each and every person present here today is a manifester, a powerful manifester within their lives, and is now using the mind in a higher and more empowered way. And so I give thanks. I give thanks for this time together. I give thanks for this beautiful community called CSL Louisville. I give thanks for this beautiful day to be in community, to share the path, and to be growing in love, in faith, and connection. I release this word into the one, and together we say, and so,
it is. Oh, thank you, Mitch. Oh my gosh, you got me laughing and breathing more and all kind of stuff, all kind of thoughts great in my mind. Thank you. Oh, well, today for our July prosperity, a beautiful wrapped gift there for our receiving. So I'll say it first, and then if you'll say it with me on the count of 3. So first I'll say, Spirit blesses me so that I can bless others. That is the truth of my prosperity, the mystic intern. So on the count of 3, let's say it together. 1, 2, 3. Spirit blesses me so that I can bless others. That is the truth of my prosperity. We so appreciate you sharing your time, your talents, and your prosperity with Louisville Center for Spiritual Living, which keeps us thriving and growing. If you'll please see the options to give in the chat. You can give by good old snail mail or online. And I pass to Vicki for the blessing of the gifts.
And I take up this word and this opportunity with such joy. It is so much fun to be a part of this team that is the circulation of abundance in, through, and as each one of you, each of us making up LCSL, and it's a great paddle wheel. Every word that is spoken, every intention that is received, and as usual, I like to name that Pat is along that way. So our abundance and our inspirations and our ideas, they move from you. And if we're talking about actual financial prosperity, flows right through Pat, who blesses them, and right through this symbolic basket on Sunday, and just keeps moving right around. And at each point along the way, it has the option to be multiplied tenfold, because we know that that's how Spirit works. So absolutely, Spirit blesses me so that I can bless others in this way. That is the truth of our prosperity. Thank you, thank you, thank you, God. And so we do release it to come back again. Amen. Tammy, are you ready to pick up on announcements?
And can you please do it, because I just switched to my phone and I cannot see the rest of the screen.
I got it. Thank you. Absolutely. So as you all can see, we're coming into our announcement time. The first announcement, it is so much my pleasure to let you all know that first Wednesday is coming up. We have first Wednesday. Spiritual Connection happens every month on the first Wednesday, 7 o'clock in the evening on this Zoom. And you may notice that there's a little extra time this time. We're going to go from 7 to 8:30 because we have a very special presentation that comes right out of Beyond Limits class. And about half the class has made themselves available to share with you their projects, which the intent of Beyond Limits class has a focus on the power of using treatment to take us beyond limits in what we've been able to experience before, spiritually and in human terms. And this is fabulous, you guys. I promise you do not want to miss the creativity and the joy and the wisdom that comes right out of these beautiful people. Joan Durbin, if you would like to raise your hand, Joan. Elizabeth Best is going to be with us from Barbados, and Katrina, whom you know, is here with her beautiful girls this morning, and then Viola are going to be presenting this Wednesday. So please, 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 if you're available, do not miss this. Go ahead. And then on the next night comes men's group at 6:30 on this Zoom. And then next Sunday, I will be picking up on speaking more of Speaking Truth to Circumstances. The truth shall set you free. And then this is very, very special. This happens a little farther down on the 14th of July. I don't know if you all noticed, but one of Tammy's quotes this morning was from Don Jose Ruiz. And he is the son of Don Miguel Ruiz Sr., who wrote the Four Agreements. How much do we talk about the Four Agreements? Well, his sons were inspired to write a fifth agreement book. And on the 14th of July, Don Jose Ruiz is going to be speaking through LCSL National. $25 for the main presentation. And we don't have the link there to join, but anybody that would like to pick up on this for $25, let me know, and I'll make sure you get the link to register. It's going to be fabulous. And then it's so much fun to be able to announce Susan Dumeyer is officially our birthday advocate. And that does actually, it's getting passed down from Tammy Seppenfield. I really want to acknowledge Tammy Seppenfield this morning because she has always been our birthday queen advocate. When we were in person, we would come on birthday Sunday, and Tammy Seppenfield would have a card for every single person who came into the room. And that's being picked up electronically. So Susan Dumeyer is going to be sending out birthday cards when it's your birthday. And so if you are interested, please either email me your birth date, or you can put it in the chat And this will be on any Sunday. Vernon has assured me we can capture information that's put into the chat. You do not have to leave the year. If you'd rather leave the year off, that's fine. We just need to know what day you were born or what day you'd like to be acknowledged. You don't even have to put the actual birth date in there if you don't want to. Just pick the day that you'd like to celebrate, and we will be aiming to send you a birthday card. And finally, of course, after service, if you would like, please stay for sharing time. There's so much to share. And you are magnificent. Say it with me, guys. Come on, let's get a little motion going here. You are magnificent. And now to our closing song, My Own Superhero with One Voice Children's Choir.
When I feel alone or afraid, and nothing is going my way, or when I'm just running a little low on faith, that's when I just gotta believe there's power and courage in me. And whatever happens, through good days and bad ones, I will stand and say, I can climb this mountain, I can brave the storm, I can be amazing, there's no telling now how far I'll go. When this day needs saving, it starts with me, I know. So I will move, I will rise, I will choose, I will try to be my own superhero. And I'll be a light in the dark, I'll do the right thing when it's hard, I'll reach out my hand if we start to drift apart. When you need my help, I'll be there, 'cause real superpowers are meant to be shared. We're brighter together and stronger than ever, hand in hand and heart to heart. I can climb this mountain, I can brave the storm, I can be amazing, there's no telling now how far I'll go. When this day needs saving, it starts with me, I know. So I will move, I will rise, I will choose, I will try to be my own superhero. Never give up, I'll never give in, and each time I fall, I will rise again. When this day needs saving, it starts with me, I know. So I will move, I will rise, I will choose, I will try to be my own superhero. Oh, I will be my own superhero.
Closing this service, remembering about the power of speaking the truth. Oh, for a tongue to express the wonders which thought reveals. Oh, for some word to comprehend the boundless idea. For our voices to be sweet enough to sound the harmony of life within that vast realm of thought where my soul meets spirit, I will listen for the voice, and it will tell me of life and love and unity. A prayer by Ernest Holmes.